Okay, get ready to have your minds blown, people, because today we're going deep into this research paper that's basically like cracking the code of aging, you know?
Yeah.
It's called Transcriptomic Hallmarks of Mortality.
Keki, right?
And it's not just like about how we age. It's about how we might be able to like reverse it.
Yeah, that's the really exciting part.
Yeah, so fill us in. What makes this research so groundbreaking?
Well, I think what's really groundbreaking is the sheer scale of it, you know?
Uh,
They analyzed thousands of samples, like mice, rats, even humans,
wow.
to track how gene expression changes over time.
Okay, hold on. Gene expression. For those of us who haven't like brushed up on our biology lately, can you give us a quick like refresh?
Sure, so think of it like this. Your DNA is the instruction manual for your body.
Got it.
But
Yeah.
not all of those instructions are being used at the same time, right?
Right.
So the transcriptome is like a snapshot of which genes are active at any given moment.
So by studying the transcriptome, these researchers could see how our genes are behaving as we age.
Exactly. And what they found is fascinating. Not only does this gene activity change with age, but it can actually predict how long different tissues might live.
Oh.
They were able to create something called transcriptomic clocks,
Okay.
almost like a speedometer for your organs, showing you how fast they're aging.
Wait, are you saying like different parts of our body age at different speeds? I mean, I knew my knees weren't what they used to be, but now you're telling me my liver might be older than my brain.
It's definitely possible. And what's even more mind-blowing is that even stem cells, which are supposed to be, immortal,
Yeah, right.
showing signs of aging at the molecular level.
So much for eternal youth. But aging is happening even at the cellular level. What can we do about it?
That's where this research gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
They studied mice lacking a gene called klotho, which is known to affect lifespan. These mice showed accelerated aging, especially in their kidneys and muscles.
No, they were like the mouse version of Benjamin Button, aging in reverse?
Not exactly.
Okay.
They aged faster than normal mice, but what's surprising is that inflammation, which is usually a big factor in aging, wasn't the main driver in these mice.
So aging is even more complex than we thought.
Absolutely. It's a symphony of different factors at play, but speaking of complexity, let's talk about rejuvenation.
Now you're talking rejuvenation. Does that mean turning back the clock?
In a way, yes.
So.
They experimented with this wild technique called heterochronic parabiosis, where they basically stitched a young mouse and an old mouse together so they shared a circulatory system.
Okay, that sounds a little creepy.
Because a visual, right.
Yeah, but I'm intrigued. What happened?
The older mouse's tissues actually started to rejuvenate.
No way.
Yeah. And get this, the effect lasted even after they separated the mice.
So are we talking about a youth transfusion here?
It's more complicated than that, but essentially there seems to be something in young blood that can reverse some aspects of aging.
That is incredible. So does any of this apply to humans?
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Well, the researchers found that many of the same genes linked to aging in mice are also involved in age-related diseases in humans.
Interesting.
In fact, they identified 3 specific genes, GPNMB, CDKN1A, and LGALS3, that can actually predict mortality risk and the development of age-related diseases just by looking at their levels in human blood.
Wow, so we're talking about potential blood tests for aging.
Yeah.
This is starting to feel like science fiction. But what about actually reversing aging in humans? Is that even possible?
Well, they did test a drug called uabane in the study.
Man, gee, don't leave me hanging.
The results were pretty remarkable.
Okay.
Uabane significantly decreased the biological age of old mice livers. We're talking about a potential 10-month reduction in liver age.
Hold on. A single drug that can rewind the aging clock? That's huge.
We need to be cautious about overhyping anything at this stage, but
Yeah, right.
But the fact that uabane had such a significant effect on liver age is definitely worth paying attention to.
Yeah.
It could be the first step towards a single molecule drug that mimics the rejuvenating effects of parabiosis.
Okay, now I'm really starting to see why this research is such a big deal. It's like we're on the verge of a whole new understanding of aging and maybe even a way to slow it down or reverse it. This is incredible. But before we get too carried away, I want to come back to this idea of the transcriptomic clocks. Can you tell me more about how those work?
Sure. Remember how we talked about the transcriptome being like a snapshot of which genes are active at any given time?
Yeah.
Well, the researchers found that certain groups of genes, called co-regulated gene modules, tend to change their activity together as we age. It's like they're all part of the same team, working towards a common goal.
So like a coordinated dance of genes.
Exactly. And each of these dance troupes has its own unique rhythm, which changes as we get older. By analyzing these rhythms, researchers can create a clock for each module, showing how that particular cellular process is being affected by aging.
So wait, we have clocks for the whole body, clocks for individual tissues. Andy, now clocks for specific gene modules. How do we even keep track of all these clocks?
It is a lot to take in, but that's the beauty of the deep dive. We break it down for you.
I appreciate that.
So what's really cool about these module-specific clocks is that they give us a much more detailed understanding of how aging works.
Okay.
It's not a one-size-fits-all process.
Right.
Different aspects of our cells age at different rates, and these clocks can pinpoint exactly what's going on.
It's like having a super high-tech diagnostic tool for aging.
Exactly. And that level of detail opens up some really exciting possibilities for targeted therapies.
Okay.
If we can identify the specific modules that are driving the aging process in an individual, we might be able to develop treatments that zero in on those areas and slow down or even reverse the decline.
So instead of just trying to fight aging in general, we could be much more strategic and focus on the specific areas that need the most attention.
Precisely, and this is where the research gets even more mind-boggling.
Oh boy.
They actually took this down to the single-cell level.
Single-cell level. We're going even deeper now.
Yep, and what they found is...
Come on, don't leave me hanging. What did they find?
Most cell types in the body, even stem cells, show signs of aging.
No way. Stem cells too. So there's really no escaping aging, even at the tiniest level.
It seems that way, but here's the silver lining. By understanding how aging affects different cell types, we can start to develop strategies to protect those cells and maybe even reverse some of the damage.
So instead of just fighting aging as a whole, we can be more strategic and target specific cells and processes.
Exactly, and that's where this research becomes truly powerful.
Okay.
They even looked at specific disease models like Alzheimer's disease and chronic kidney disease and used their transcriptomic clocks to analyze how aging contributes to these conditions.
So we're talking about personalized medicine for aging, like a custom-tailored plan to address your specific aging risks.
It's definitely heading in that direction. And one of the most interesting things they found is that different diseases seem to have different aging signatures.
Okay.
In other words, aging might contribute to Alzheimer's in a different way than it contributes to kidney disease.
Wow, so it's not just about living longer, it's about living healthier for longer.
Absolutely. And this research gives us a roadmap for understanding how aging interacts with different diseases, which could lead to more effective treatments and preventative measures.
So they found all these fascinating things about how aging works at the cellular level. Did they find anything about how to actually reverse it besides the mouse stitching and the Uabane drug?
Well, they did explore the concept of rejuvenation from a different angle.
Okay.
They looked at gene expression patterns during heterochronic parabiosis, which we've already discussed,
Right.
and during early embryonic development.
Embryonic development? What does that have to do with aging?
When an embryo is developing, it's essentially creating brand new tissues and organs. It's a period of incredible growth and rejuvenation.
So are you saying there's a fountain of youth hidden in the womb?
Not exactly a fountain of youth, but there's definitely something special going on at the molecular level during embryonic development.
Okay.
The researchers found that the gene expression patterns in early embryos actually resemble those seen in rejuvenated tissues.
That's wild. So it's like organisms are briefly reset to a youthful state during development.
Exactly, and by studying these patterns, we might be able to identify the key molecular switches that control rejuvenation and figure out how to flip those switches in adult organisms.
Okay, I'm officially mind blown. But before my brain completely melts, let's talk about the practical applications of all this research. What does it mean for us here and now?
That's the million-dollar question, and this paper introduces a really amazing tool called the TACO platform.
Taco, like the delicious Mexican food.
I wish. TACO stands for Transcriptomic Age Calculator Online. It's an interactive online platform that allows users to analyze their own gene expression data.
Wait, so I could potentially upload my genetic information and get a personalized aging report? Tell me more.
It's not quite that simple yet. The platform is primarily intended for researchers, but it does illustrate the potential for personalized medicine based on transcriptomic data.
So are we talking about a future where we could all have our own personalized aging clocks and tailor our lifestyle and healthcare based on that information? What would that even look like?
Well, imagine being able to track your biological age over time, and see how, like, different lifestyle choices are affecting you at the molecular level, like
Right.
diet and exercise. It's
Yeah.
like having a Fitbit for your genes.
That would be amazing. If I could see that, like, my late night pizza habit was adding years to my biological clock, I might actually be motivated to change my ways. But let's be real. How far off is this kind of personalized aging report?
Well, while the Taco platform is mainly for researchers right now,
Right.
it gives us a glimpse into what's possible, you know?
Yeah.
Imagine a future where your doctor could use this technology to create a personalized prevention plan,
Okay.
targeting the specific areas where you're most at risk for age-related decline.
That would be incredible. But this whole idea of aging differently in different parts of the body, that's kind of unsettling.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, what's actually happening at the cellular level as we age.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And the researchers in this paper dug into that too.
Okay.
Remember those co-regulated gene modules we talked about earlier?
Yeah, refresh my memory.
Okay, so think of them as like teams of genes working together
Uh-huh.
to carry out specific tasks in the cell.
Okay.
What they found is that some modules become more active as we age, while others become less active.
Okay.
For example, modules related to immune response tend to become more active,
Oh, interesting.
which might explain why chronic inflammation is so common in older adults.
So it's like our immune system is getting overworked
Yeah,
and causing more harm than good.
it's possible.
Wow.
On the other hand, modules related to things like mitochondrial function, remember those are the powerhouses of the cell,
Yeah.
and lipid metabolism seem to be positively correlated with longevity.
So if we can keep those mitochondria humming and our lipid metabolism in check, we might be able to stay younger for longer.
The research seems to point in that direction.
It's fascinating.
And remember those transcriptomic clocks we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, by analyzing the activity of these modules, researchers can create even more precise clocks,
Oh, wow.
tracking the aging of specific cellular processes.
So instead of just looking at the aging of a whole organ, we can zoom in and see how different parts of the cell are aging.
Exactly. And this level of detail could be a game changer for developing targeted therapies.
Okay.
If we can pinpoint the specific modules that are driving age-related decline, we might be able to develop drugs or interventions that address those specific areas.
It's like having a mechanic who can diagnose and repair your car at the engine level instead of just looking at the whole vehicle.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And this research doesn't stop there. They actually took this analysis even further, down to the single cell level.
Single cell level. You're telling me they looked at how individual cells age.
Yes. Using a technique called single-cell RNA sequencing,
Wow.
they were able to analyze the gene expression of individual cells.
Incredible.
And their findings were pretty remarkable.
Okay, spill the beans. What did they find?
They discovered that most cell types in the body, even stem cells, show signs of aging at the molecular level.
No way. Stem cells too. So much for the fountain of youth.
It seems that aging really is a universal process, but there's a bright side to this discovery.
I'm all ears.
By understanding how aging affects different cell types, we can start to develop strategies to protect those cells from age-related damage.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, maybe even reverse some of the damage that's already been done.
So instead of just trying to combat aging as a whole, we could be more strategic and develop therapies that target specific types of cells.
That's the idea, and that's where this research becomes incredibly powerful.
Okay.
The researchers even applied their findings to specific disease models like Alzheimer's and chronic kidney disease
Yeah.
to see how aging contributes to these conditions at the cellular level.
So we're talking about personalized medicine for aging.
It's definitely moving in that direction. What's fascinating is that they found different diseases seem to have different aging signatures.
Interesting.
In other words, aging might contribute to Alzheimer's in a different way than it contributes to kidney disease.
This is truly groundbreaking. So it's like they're rewriting everything we thought we knew about aging.
Absolutely. This paper is packed with so many intriguing findings. One that really stood out to me is their observation about rejuvenation during early embryonic development.
What do you mean?
Well, they discovered that the gene expression patterns in early embryos actually mirror those seen in rejuvenated tissues.
Wait, so you're telling me there's something about embryonic development that triggers a kind of youthful reset?
It certainly seems that way. It's like organisms are briefly tapping into a fountain of youth during this critical period.
This is incredible. But if we're talking about manipulating the aging process at the molecular level, there must be some ethical considerations to think about, right?
Well, that's a discussion for another time. For now, let's focus on the remarkable science presented in this research.
Fair enough.
Remember, we're still just scratching the surface of understanding the complexities of aging.
So where do we go from here? What are the next steps in this research, and what does it mean for us in the long run?
That's a great question, and I think the most exciting aspect of this research is the potential for personalized medicine,
Yeah, like what specifically?
Imagine a future where we can get regular transcriptomic checkups,
Okay.
track our biological age,
Right.
and make lifestyle changes, or even receive targeted therapies to address our specific aging risks.
That's definitely one of the most promising avenues for future research.
I think so.
The Taco platform, while still primarily a research tool, gives us a glimpse into that future.
For sure.
Imagine being able to see which of your organs are aging faster than others and then taking steps to protect them.
Right.
That would be a game changer. But as with any groundbreaking scientific discovery, there are always, challenges to overcome.
Of course.
What are some of the hurdles we'll need to clear before this kind of personalized aging medicine becomes a reality?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is simply the sheer volume of data involved in analyzing the transcriptome.
Yeah, it's a ton of data.
It's a massive amount of information to process and interpret.
So it's not just about developing the technology, it's also about figuring out how to handle all the data that comes with it.
Exactly. We'll need sophisticated algorithms and computational tools to make sense of all this data and translate it into actionable insights for individuals.
That makes sense. What about the cost of this kind of technology?
Yeah.
Will it be accessible to everyone, or will it only be available to the wealthy few?
That's a crucial question. Right now, technologies like single-cell RNA sequencing are quite expensive.
Right.
But as with any new technology, the cost is likely to come down over time as it becomes more widely adopted.
So hopefully someday this kind of personalized aging medicine will be as routine as getting a blood test.
That's the goal. And there are already companies working to make these technologies more affordable and accessible.
That's encouraging. But even if we can overcome the technical and financial challenges, there's still the question of whether we should, messing with the aging process, that's pretty powerful stuff.
You're right. This research raises some profound questions about what it means to be human,
Yeah.
and how far we should go in manipulating our biology.
It's like opening Pandora's box. Once we start tinkering with the aging process, who knows where it will lead?
That's why it's so important to have open and honest conversations about these issues now, before these technologies become widely available.
Right.
We need to think carefully about the ethical implications, the potential risks and benefits,
Yeah.
and the societal impact of extending human lifespans.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener. It's clear that we're on the cusp of a revolution in our understanding of aging and the potential for rejuvenation.
I think so.
But as with any revolution, there will be challenges and tough choices to make along the way.
Absolutely. And it's up to all of us, scientists, policymakers, and the public, to engage in thoughtful dialogue.
Yeah.
And ensure that these powerful technologies are used responsibly and ethically.
Well said. This deep dive has given me so much to think about, not just about the science of aging, but also about the future of humanity.
I'm glad to hear that that's the power of the deep dive. To spark curiosity, ignite imagination, and challenge us to think deeply about the world around us.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey of discovery.
Thanks for having me.
And to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to keep exploring these fascinating questions and to join the conversation about the future of aging and the potential for a longer, healthier life.
Until next time, stay curious.
And keep on learning.